Hello folks, and welcome to this, well, I hesitate to use the word review, but my thoughts on the current Battlefield 5 Open Beta that's going on until September 11th. It started a couple of days ago if you had EA Access subscription or if you had pre-ordered, but from today it should be available for everyone, today being September 6th. Apologies if my voice sounds a bit funny, I have a cold, but nevertheless the show must go on. So let's up front talk about some of the current dramas that a few gamers out there are having. I'm going to mention now that I'm not going to be spending a huge amount of time on these issues. I'm sure you know the ones I mean. Beyond this short piece, I'm really not going to be covering the issues that have been raised around women or prosthetic limbs in the game, or anything else beyond how the game is to play. Look, this topic has been done to death by people who care way more about it than I ever will. I honestly just hope to enjoy the game for what it is. It's a new Battlefield game, so I have no interest in covering those topics at length. However, if you want an honest, unsponsored opinion of the current open beta that leaves aside the drama, please do stick around. Alright, on with the review. In case for some reason you don't know what the Battlefield series is about, I'll briefly explain. It's an FPS game with also vehicle combat included, and it has a strong focus on team play, communication, and playing the objective rather than just running around at top speed trying to massage your KD ratio, although not a lot of players seem to know this. That's where having a great squad leader is so important. So one of my top tips, if you're not getting direction, if your squad leader's not calling out the next objective, feel free to hold down the Q key and spin around to request objective, which will ask the squad leader to assign an objective. However, do be aware that if you do that, I think 3 times without getting a response, you'll be made the squad leader. So it's a good way to learn how to do it. It's how I did it. And it's such an important part of the game. Again, as I mentioned, it's what separates Battlefield from so many other FPS shooters that are out there. So really do make sure you're getting that experience from the game as well. Okay, so what can we expect from Battlefield 5? How will it be different from Battlefield 1 or the other Battlefields that came before it? Well, the developers have said things like, enter mankind's greatest conflict with Battlefield 5, as the series goes back to its roots with never before seen portrayal of World War II. Fair enough. And also, they go on to mention that there will be all new multiplayer experiences like the multi-map grand operations. Customized soldiers, weapons and vehicles is also another part of it. And finally, that this is the most intense, immersive and innovative Battlefield yet. You will never be the same. Wow, you will never be the same again after playing a video game. I'm looking forward to this. No hyperbole there at all. Okay, gameplay. So, is it a Battlefield game? It sure is, a la Battlefield 1. All the modes you know and love, or maybe even hate, are there, except for War Pigeons, which we all played to death. And there are some new modes also. So one of the most interesting new modes is called Grand Operations, and those of you who are familiar with the Operations mode from Battlefield 1 will be somewhat familiar with this mode, as it retains the concept of multiple different battles leading to an overall victory at the end of it, except in this case it's a 64 player hour-long multi-part battle, and it takes place over a series of different maps set out across a number of different fictional days that finally culminates with a sudden death last stand engagement at the very end. In other words, it's Battlefield's implementation of a multi-day battle from World War II. Bringing in some elements from that idea, there's also a concept of attrition or limited supplies of ammunition, and this grows worse if you lose on a particular day, meaning that you have to make strategic and tactical decisions about how you're going to move forward with the limited supplies that you have. As mentioned, day 4 is sudden death, and it's a little worse than that because if you do die during day 4 and you aren't revived by a member of your squad or fully healed by a medic, then you're out. So that's Grand Operations mode. Next new mode is called Combined Arms. Now this seems kind of cool and it's something we haven't really seen before. It's a co-op mode for Battlefield. It's for up to 4 players. And the idea is to make it easy to get new players into Battlefield. So think of it as sitting somewhere between the totally single player experience and the online multiplayer experience. We don't fully know yet what the mode will look like, but there will be a series of objectives that you'll work through with friends, leading to a final, what's described as a very difficult objective. They're planning to keep it fresh. They have a dynamic mission generator which should be able to generate lots of different scenarios and keep this mode appealing and challenging. The final mode is called Tides of War, and while we still don't fully know what that will look like, it is supposed to take you on a journey through World War II. When the game releases in November, Tides of War will focus on the early war period and the fall of Europe. However, the overall goal is to tell the entire story of World War II over the lifespan of Battlefield 5. DICE themselves say, "We want to immerse you in this epic conflict and evolve the gameplay, just as tactics and weaponry evolved throughout the war." So it's a very grand statement and grand notion, and I'm looking forward to seeing the implementation of this. It could be really interesting and a very different mode to what we're used to. The movement system, oh boy, it is silky smooth, with the transitions from any of the various stances feeling just right and not at all clunky. Especially bursting out of a first floor window, which is one of the newer movements. It's kind of hard to describe. I guess it feels like running out a window and jumping through it, or at least as close to that as you can get in a video game. It's kind of hard to describe. You need to go jump through a window. Snipers. Everyone loves to play as the sniper, myself included, but there seems to be currently no limit to the amount of them that can be in a game, and it can make certain games pure comedy. Probably going to need balancing at some point. It can't all be snipers, sadly. The controls are what we've become accustomed to in previous Battlefield and FPS games in general. Some nice features like a hold or toggle for sprint and crouch are included. This is very much appreciated and really should be the standard in all FPS games by now. The interface favours the new trend for fashionable minimalistic looks, which sure looks nice, but listen DICE, I'm really not afraid to scroll. Call me crazy, but I actually liked Battlelog. Once you learned the interface, you felt like you were playing something serious. These new menus seem like they are console specific, but they will make do for PC. I kind of think a missed opportunity to take advantage of the fact mouse and keyboard users can handle more on screen as they have finer control. But look, it's a minor gripe, and it's the same as Battlefield 1, and it works. I haven't encountered any bugs during the beta. There have been reports of issues joining a squad or sending a buddy invite, also reports of players who get killed while being revived, not being able to respawn. Again, I didn't experience either of these, but I did have reports from squad mates that they were experiencing those issues. Other than that, it was a bug-free beta. Some of the things that were annoying from Battlefield 1, such as taking a long time to get into a game or to quit a game, did not seem to be present. Sound and music. Just like in Battlefield 1, the gun sounds are absolutely amazing and realistic. It's possible to detect the direction of them easily with standard non-surround sound headphones. Bullets whiz past your head and you can really tell how close they are. Scary stuff indeed, believe me, but it all helps to add to the atmosphere. The music is the usual grand rolling orchestral affair to upbeat action themes mixed with the odd, thoughtful, sad, war is hell melody. Graphics. Well, what is there to say really? This is the Frostbite engine, version 3, the same one used in Battlefield 1, and we all know how good that game looked. Now, in the beta there were no options for me to tweak the normal graphical settings such as texture quality and anti-aliasing, so I couldn't extensively test the performance in different configurations. My GTX 1070, connected to a G-Sync monitor, maintained what seemed to be an average FPS of around 65. It didn't go much higher than that. Interestingly, this is about what I get in BF1 on max settings. I get nearer to 70 on high. It is the same engine, so BF1 should be a good reference, and indeed it seems that the beta confirms this. So the game is demanding, but not hugely, and honestly it still looks amazing even on the lowest settings. Also worth mentioning is the dynamic damage models on buildings that sometimes removes cover and really adds to the atmosphere. So value proposition time. This game at its cheapest is £60 for the standard edition or £80 for the deluxe edition. There's also another version exclusive to EA Access Premier subscribers for free. These are pretty standard AAA prices nowadays, but is it worth it? Should you wait for a sale or discount? Well, the answer depends. If you were smart enough to pick up Battlefield 1 recently when it was under a tenner, and also took advantage of all of the DLC being available for free, then you have yourself a really great Battlefield game on a modern version of the Frostbite Engine 3 that looks stunning and plays really well. In fact, if you're quick, you can still nab this deal. If I had that and I was enjoying the experience, I would be in no hurry to rush out and get my hands on Battlefield 5. It just isn't offering enough over a fully loaded and cheap Battlefield 1 setup. Okay, conclusions then. Did you notice a theme in the coverage of this review referencing Battlefield 1? That makes sense to do, as it is the previous game and it works on the same engine, but it's also a bit of a problem for Battlefield 5. If you look at just the core gameplay of what we've seen in the beta and compare it to Battlefield 1, there's obviously going to be some similarities, and I really fear that if you have a fully loaded and that you're happy with Battlefield 1, that you may not see the value in switching to Battlefield 5. I really don't think that DICE has done a great job either with showcasing some of the newer features of the game and the reasons that might make you pick up Battlefield 5. The marketing has been fairly lacking in this regard, especially in relation to the new game modes. I didn't cover them briefly because I didn't bother researching them. I covered them with as much information as was available. However, before we get the pitchforks out, let's remember that this is a beta with one map and just a few modes available. And just like Battlefield 1, it may not showcase how great the actual game is. So what am I going to do? Well, I will say that I'm a huge World War II nerd and I'm a very big fan of the Battlefield series, so I almost certainly will be picking up Battlefield 5. However, the difference between this Battlefield and previous ones is that I feel no need to pre-order it, and I'm happy to wait for a deal, and until that deal comes around, I'll happily play Battlefield 1. Okay folks, thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content. Include tickling that little bell icon. Thanks now. Bye.